All right. Welcome back into another edition of Jake's Takes. I am your host, Jake Massucci, and I am super excited to be joined by my guy. I got Matt Griffin back with me today. We're talking NBA. We're doing an NBA Finals preview, and I'm really excited for it. I haven't really touched on NBA playoffs too much. AJ Massucci is going to be coming in late. He is coming from basketball practice. He's starting his job with Rochester High School, so he's super excited about that as assistant coach. So he's got practices all week, but he wanted to be on the pod, so he'll be here in a little bit. But let's start with Matt here. Okay, I want to talk about mainly. I just kind of want to set the stage because I've been watching the finals. I've been very locked in on it, but I haven't been doing many podcasts, so my listeners probably aren't like crazy locked in. So I want to start with the Pacers. Like, to me, we talked about this off camera. It's just a crazy run with the Pacers, like making it to the finals. I mean,
Mhm.
I saw people like describing it like we talked about Miami 2 years ago. Like, it's kind of similar a little bit to that aspect. They're more of like, I mean, top four seed, so like
Yeah.
it's a little more believable than that aspect. But talk to me about what you've seen from the Pacers and this run that they went on and getting to the finals here. They finished the Knicks off in six. And I mean, they were just really impressive throughout. So talk to me a little bit about what you've seen.
Yeah, they have been really impressive. I think that this Pacers team is better than that Heat team, or like my assumption of the Pacers going into the play. Like I thought that they had a chance. Like it does not surprise me that they beat Cleveland or even Boston. Honestly, given the injuries that those teams face, or they didn't beat Boston, but you know what I mean. They came out of the East and Boston didn't. Like I thought that the Pacers were closer to them than they were to like the. I thought the Pacers were closer to the Cavs than they were to the Knicks going into the playoffs. I'll put it like that. Like I thought that they were firmly the third best team. So it's not quite as surprising. But the thing that they have that they have in common with those Heat teams is that they seem to have like just kind of the grace of God, or even it's the opposite of the grace. Like they have devil magic, right? Like late in games, like they should be dead, the game should be over, and they just don't die. They win games in ways that they shouldn't win games. It's been pretty incredible. Like even you can even go like to an individual level. I mean, you expect Haliburton to be great. I mean, obviously he's been better than you could have expected. He's ascended in these playoffs, but you expect him to play well. You expect Siakam to play well, which he has. But even it's like, in that Buck series or even early in like the Knicks series, Nemhard shooting like that is not something that you can just expect. Like he didn't shoot well throughout the regular season. I've always been a fan of his game as a whole, but he's absolutely stepped up in the playoffs in a way that you just can't expect a role player to do. It's kind of like Caleb Martin did for the Heat. It reminds me of that. So, um, yeah, there are some similarities there. I don't think it's quite as unexpected. I think that the Pacers are just a really, really good team, man. Like this is 2 straight years where they've been as potent offensively as you can kind of ask for, and I think you're also seeing some of. And I should even stop in my tracks there and mention, like, I feel like they do have a coaching advantage in a lot of these series. Rick Carlisle, I think, has done a fantastic job with this team overall, kind of who they are systematically, who they are conceptually. And you think about that compared to, like, kind of his what people thought of him when he was in Dallas, where it was like playing around Dirk Nowitzki and playing around Tyrese Haliburton could not be more different. And he's
Yeah.
he's absolutely stepped
Yep.
up to the plate for both of those guys, building offenses around both of those guys. So I think he deserves a ton of credit, and I think he's just kind of hit all the right switches, hit all the right levers in each of the series as they go on right now. Like they did not guard New York like they guarded Cleveland, right? And I think like
Mm.
I bet that they're going to guard the Thunder drastically different from how they guarded Cleveland. And maybe when AJ gets here, we could get into that a little bit more when we talk about this series itself. But I think that this has all just been kind of like the perfect storm in a sense for the Pacers. They got a little bit of injury luck. The two other best teams in the conference did hobble a little bit, but the Pacers have played absolutely great. They've shot the ball really well. They've played hard defense. They step up to physicality. Their stars have shown up when they needed them to. Like this team's really good. They're unfortunately matched up with the Thunder now, but this team is very good.
Yeah. No, I love what you're talking about with Rick Carlisle. And I don't think I mean, a lot of people are giving him his flowers now. But the funny thing is it's like a complete 180 from where he was like a couple of years ago. I'm reading the Luka Doncic book by Tim McMahon called Wonder Boy. And like in the book, literally, like Luka's first year, he's friends with like one of the scouts on the team. And everybody on the team freaking hates Carlisle because he
Wow.
went off on them right away. And like DeAndre Jordan had to step up for the whole team. And like everybody's like already like hates him. And they tell a story where Luca and the scout are like talking, and the scout's phone rings, and it's Carlo, and he changed his ringtone to the Darth Vader theme music because they hated him so much. So like a complete, yeah, I know, it's crazy, like a complete 180 turn of where Rick Carlisle's career has gone, and it shows you the fit. Like, I mean, I think he's been wanting to play a fast style like the Pacers play for a long time. You know, they run the ball like up and down the court. And I mean, I've been seeing a lot of Steve Nash interviews with him being back with Mind the Game. And he's talking about how like it looks like the 7 seconds or less Suns. You know, it really does. Like they're moving the ball nonstop. Halliburton's always pushing Nemhard. He hasn't shot well, but he's unbelievable. I love watching him play. You know, like it's like his energy is so good. And you could tell like Brunson was a little much for him to guard in that series, but like he's still just playing his ass off every single play. And game 6 was his game, man. It was some. I love him, dude. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's my favorite backcourt in the league to watch. I think Haliburton and Nemhard.
Yeah.
I think like I don't know, those two guys' skills complement each other so well because I think a guy like Haliburton, as good as he is on the ball and as good as he is just kind of completely running your offense, engineering your offense on the ball and directing traffic in a sense. He's an incredible off-ball basketball player as well. Like he's their best off-ball shooter, for instance. So I think to have a guy like Nemhard next to him kind of fills so many boxes of what you want next to a guy like Nemhard. Haliburton will create a lot of advantages. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's giving you a wide open three, but a lot of times Nemhard will catch the ball with an advantage created in the sense that he has a driving lane, right, or something like that. Like he gets the ball on the move and he's put in an advantageous position to make a play. Yeah, he has to put it on the floor. Maybe it's not always credited as an assist, but that's two guys working in tandem to create offense. Nemhard can guard the other team's best guard when you need him, like when you want him to. Obviously, that goes well with Hallie because Halliburton's not going to do that. Nemhard is a great passer in his own right, can run his own offense and keep Haliburton off the ball as much as you want. Like that is a really good, smart, complementary backcourt that I've liked watching a lot.
Yeah, no, the backcourt's been really interesting. And part of the thing I really like about what Carlisle's doing, and I think a lot of people were shocked by it, like to start, was that like he continued playing 10 guys throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that was really
11,
interesting
Tony
because
Bradley.
yeah, Tony Bradley coming in a little bit. I know he's dealing, I think the shoulder injury, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
Now,
something. I don't think Tony Bradley would be playing.
He's not gonna play that much. Thomas Bryant's kind of taking that spot, but like it's just so interesting that he was willing to continue to go like 11 deep. I mean, you saw it in the first round. You were like, all right, that's probably not going to continue after Milwaukee, and then they kept going with it with Cleveland, and like so many guys have come in and step up. Like the T.J. McConnell minutes are really interesting. He's erratic. He's going all over the place, but he's creating plays. He's creating shots for other people. Obi Toppin could give you a different look with the big lineup, and the front court's been interesting, man. Like I really think the jump with Pascal Siakam, like it just feels like he's back to that scoring aspect that he was like in the Toronto year after they won the title. Because I really thought he took like a step up that year because they were a 2 seed. They made the second round. Yeah. They were a really competitive team, and it was more because of Siakam and Kyle Lowry that year. Looking at it that way, I've really liked what I've seen from Siakam, and I like some of the lineups he's throwing out there. I think it really just kind of gets everybody where they're not tired so they can always pick up full court, and I think it's really interesting. AJ, what's up, man? Welcome
How we
in.
doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're live right now, so we got you here. We got
Perfect.
you here. We're happy. So we're talking about Pacers. We're talking about their run through it, and we were just talking about the front court a little bit. But I mean, I'll ask you this, AJ. I'll go right in on you. But
Right.
looking at the Pacers so far throughout this run, like what have been your thoughts on them making the finals? Like, does it shock you? Does it surprise you? Just tell me your thoughts on the Pacers.
Well, I would love to say that I totally saw this coming, that they were going to, like, I picked them to come out of the Eastern Conference, but the truth is I picked against them in the first round and the second round. So, yes, I think it's only fair to say that I am surprised that they are here. I mean, Tyrese Haliburton, I mean, I hate to put it this way, but maybe the best player to make finals in a while.
Wow.
I mean, that's harsh, but he's playing above where he's been in the past, which is pretty cool to see. He's like the true point guard that everybody talks about not having in the NBA since like prime Chris Paul, since uh, Steve Nash, since John Stockton, whoever you want to go back to. I mean, he's the next like best great true point guard that like gets everybody involved. But they're playing
Him
above
and
their
Dennis
heads. They're
Schroeder leading the
playing
charge.
exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Maybe and then TJ McConnell too. I mean they
Yeah.
just 48 minutes of just true point guard. But they're doing it in such a different way. They're offensively and defensively. I mean, they're defensively, they're doing it with their pressure defense. They were full court pressing the Knicks for 48 minutes. And it wasn't just like one guy. It wasn't one guy. It wasn't like Asar pressuring Jalen Brunson. And then you throw it to Josh Hart and, okay, we'll let Josh Hart bring up the ball. It was everybody. It was all five guys. It didn't matter who they threw it to. I love that. I love like an NBA team committing to pressing for 48 minutes in a playoff game. And then offensively, I mean, they're doing it with tempo. They're doing it. I mean, they're getting so many free baskets off of like the other team's made shots. Like there's multiple times in that game 6 with the Knicks where it felt like the Knicks are about to get hot, get going. Like Josh Hart hit a 3 or OG Anunoby hit a 3. And they would just come down and score within like 2 seconds. And all of a sudden, like all that momentum that like the Knicks were about to get just out the window. So they're doing it in a very different way, which I think is a really cool thing to see, because a lot of times, like in the past couple of years, it felt like a lot of teams were doing it in a very similar way, and it's cool to see like 2 teams in the NBA Finals that are doing it different.
Yeah, Matt, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to piggy off your front court point with them, and it's like we talked about how well their backcourt pairs together, and I think their front court is a little bit of the same. Miles Turner is like a good player. He's a unique player. There's not a ton of Miles Turners running around the world, but like he also has flaws and deficiencies. Particularly as a rebounder, like just kind of what he does really inside the 3-point line it leaves a little bit to be desired. But like when you pair that with a Pascal Siakam, and you put Pascal Siakam in this environment where he's constantly like cross matches are being created for Siakam constantly. Most teams have maybe one guy that can guard Pascal Siakam. You know what I mean? Now, the Thunder are a little bit of a different story, but I mean, you can count on you count 10, 11 times throughout a game where their pace and their tempo alone creates a mismatch for Siakam to just, and they'll just toss him the ball, because at the end of the day, like he is one of the best isolation sort of forwards that we have in basketball right now. And I think that we've seen that throughout the game. And he's just so good in he helps them in transition. He helps them rebound. He helps them defensively. And he's a switch killer, which are all things that complement Haliburton and just their ethos as a whole. I think like the trade for him was as good a move as a GM has made in the past couple of seasons. And I know that they didn't have to give up a ton for him because the Raptors got desperate. They take too long to trade their players. But I think like the Pacers team build, a lot of teams should be looking at what they've done and be trying to replicate that.
Yeah, no, it really is interesting. And we talked about like the speed on which they play, and like that just feeds to Siakam like so well, like you were talking about with the cross matches and all that. And it also feeds to Turner, because Turner can then be a trailer in transition and be able to be on the 3-point line, where the bigs normally like down low. So like if Haliburton or Nembhard is going straight like downhill, then the big's already down and help. So then they can just kick out to Turner and like it's an easy 3, you know? And you saw that a lot with Indiana, especially in that Cleveland series where Jared Allen's down there or Evan Mobley's down there in that help position. And then you'd leave Turner open for 3. And there were a couple games where Turner was just not missing those shots, you know? And those are tough games to beat the Pacers. And that's what makes them so interesting. There's so many different ways they can match up with you. There's so many different types of lineups they can bring to you. And, you know, we talked about Rick Carlisle and we talked about like a transition with that. I think it's just really interesting. I mean, like, I'd like to say, like AJ, like I'd like to say I saw this coming, but I did not. You know, I think I saw a little bit more with Cleveland, having fallen for them once in my life. I wasn't going to fall for them completely this year. And then, you know, like looking at it with no Celtics, it's like, okay, like I could see them beating the Knicks, you know. AJ, you got anything else to add before we move on?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Rick Carlisle. I don't know if we already talked about him in this
Yeah, relate
podcast.
to the
A
Carlisle.
little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, then I also want to shout him out because what he's doing is spectacular. He's doing it a completely different way than he did in 2011, and then what he did with like the Luka Doncic era. I just think that's really cool. In an era where it's really cool to fire really good coaches and to rip on good coaches, I think it's really cool to celebrate successes of coaches. And he's doing a great job doing it differently than a lot of other people. Um, and he deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. All right, let's move over to the OKC side. So, as I was talking about before, like we haven't done much NBA playoff content on Jake's Take, so I wanted you guys to give your whole thoughts on the Oklahoma City Thunder and like their run throughout the playoffs. Matt and I talked about it a little bit, where we both picked Oklahoma City and like thought they were the favorites easily. So, AJ, I'll start with you here. What are your thoughts on the Thunder throughout this playoff run and how they got through the West?
It's been really interesting because I mean, it obviously starts off they're playing Memphis. The first two games are an absolute joke, where Memphis. I mean, I think Ja Morant with in Memphis. That's a whole different story. But I mean, man, that team ticks me off. Like I swear, Ja Morant makes
They
them
were going to
worse.
win before
But
Jack got
that's
hurt, AJ.
yeah, for sure. They had them figured out, right? They had them figured out, is what they were all saying. But I mean, so that was kind of just like a walkover, pushover, first round series that they took care of business in the first two games, and then had like one of the largest halftime comebacks in NBA history or whatever in the game three or whatever it was. But they handled their business, finished 7-4, and I mean, really, I mean, what a lot of people I think may say looking back is like the true NBA Finals in the second round when they beat the Denver Nuggets. I mean, not the reigning champ, but a reigning champ. It was pretty much the same starting five. I mean, with the way Christian Brown was playing, he was playing just as good as KCP was back in the day, if not better. But I mean, they beat a three-time MVP, four-time MVP. I forget how many. I'm losing track at this point. Uh, I mean, the best player in basketball, they beat him, and I mean, it was a seven-game series, but like they finished with like plus 66 in seven games. So like it wasn't really like they handled business. They blew a couple close games, a few inexcusable mistakes that they made. Dagnall following up three, whatever the case may be,
Felt
to
like tired
sub
mistakes
Jokic back in. But yeah, and like a young team mistakes
in Denver.
that normally
Yeah.
cost team series, but they're so good that they give themselves some leeway there, so they were able to overcome that. And then with the Timberwolves, I mean, they just completely outclassed them, completely outclassed them. It felt like the Timberwolves never really had a shot to score, um, and they executed defensively. I mean, they made them look like they didn't belong in the Western Conference Final. It was truly spectacular. But so it's like they've really gone through some wars and they've been professional throughout this playoff run. And I mean, it's tough to not see them as the overwhelming favorite and tough to not pick them. So I mean, they're really good. They're really good.
All right,
Yeah.
Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, everything AJ said is right. I think the thing about the Thunder playoff run up to this point, none of it is necessarily surprising. Hell, the most surprising part is that Denver took them to seven for me. You know, like
Mhm.
I thought it was more likely that the Thunder, don't lose more than like 3 or 4 games on their way to the title than they don't make it. But that series is almost like the worst thing to happen to everybody else. I feel like in the midst of that series, based on what they had to go through, what they had to kind of pull out of them to pull that game seven out and to end up beating Denver, coming back from being down in the series, not a position we ever expected to see the Thunder in. Like I feel like Jalen Williams and Chet kind of like grew up. Like it's like now it feels like there's a whole sort of weight lifted off of their shoulders. I kind of don't have questions that those guys are going to show up and play well in the finals, which is not an opinion that I held before that series. So, and they played really well in the conference finals. They both had major performances that I guess you don't have to say that they needed because it was never a question who was going to win. But in big games, that those guys showed up. Their defense is just like all time kind of stuff that I think teams maybe will try to replicate. Maybe teams will look at the Thunder and say, hey, maybe we should build this sort of turnover creating monster on one end of the floor. And like, you're just not going to, because you're not going to have the players that they have. You're not going to be lined up 1 through 5 with guys who are going to get all defense votes. You're not going to have
Yeah.
multiple dudes that are going to contend for, a defensive player of the year throughout the like. You don't have the best defensive guard in basketball, and Chet Holmgren and Lou Dort. Like you're just not gonna create that. It's kind of like I don't want to say once in a lifetime thing, but like the optionality that they have, the versatility that they have. I think their small lineup is basically the best small lineup in basketball. I think their big lineup is as good as any double big lineup that anybody in basketball can throw out. They have the MVP. Like they run this league right now. I think like for the foreseeable future, it feels like they kind of run the NBA and every year, any team that gets really good in the West, like until Wemby's ready to do it, it's going to be tough for me to ever pick against the Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna echo exactly what you said. Like, that game 7, like, really gave them, I think, an identity, and that was, oh, like, we force a ton of turnovers and we run on people, and then you can't stop us. I mean, literally, you saw the Nuggets give up because, like, they turned the ball over every possession in game 7, and OKC's up like a million out of the blue. After
They
a
have
first quarter where Denver dominated the first quarter. And then right away, like by halftime, the game's over, and that's just crazy to me. Crazy.
a cool thing that they have that the only other team that I think can think of that has like the same trait is like Team USA, where like they'll go on these Warriors type explosion runs, but it's just all like they're just creating turnovers and
Yeah.
they just
It's awesome.
created a 10-point margin because you turned the ball over 3 times and J-Dub got 2 dunks. Like I don't know, it's pretty crazy watching them play. To be honest with you, there's nothing super comparable. Really, neither of these teams have anybody super comparable, which is cool.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be cool. And, I'm really excited to dive deep into this series. But let's talk about the Pacers aspect of it to start. Okay. So, my question that I wrote down is because we talked about OKC like so highly, is how can the Pacers win this series? Because I feel like you look at the odds, you look at all this stuff. Like the Thunder are clear favorites. I think they're minus 750 to win it all, something crazy like that. It's one of the biggest margins we've seen in a long time in the NBA Finals, probably since the Golden State Cleveland ones in 2017. Well, I really think it's interesting to look at because like the Pacers, we talked about it. They have so many options that they can throw at them. But OKC is just so deep and so talented in the same way that OKC can counter with like anything. So I feel like it would be a crazy series there. But I'm gonna start with you, Matt, on this one. What do you think the Pacers can do best to win this series?
Yeah, I'm gonna search deep down here. It sounds like I'm the only Pacers respecter because AJ thought they were gonna lose to Kyle Kuzma. I think they actually can like make this closer than like the Vegas odds suggest. Because I think of like kind of how the Thunder win defensively and what they like to do, and like obviously they're gonna pressure the ball, but they kind of like being in rotation. Like they like sort of that chaotic aspect of defense. They're always going to send help from the corners. They are going to leave some shooters wide open every now and again. You're going to have to make shots. And when they close out hard, you're going to have to be able to put it on the floor and make decisions. But like, that's kind of where the Pacers excel. And I think of that like super aggressive style of defense. And I contrast that with the Pacers. And it's like, man, I don't know that there's any offense in the league that's better at like occupying the weak side than the Pacers. Like just throwing in flare screens, making the guys on the back end of your defense have to respect whoever is back there on offense. And obviously them being capable shooters and handlers is a part of that. And it's like, I do think that there's a world where it's like game 1 comes out and, the Thunder are defending the Pacers as if they're defending Minnesota, and they are that aggressive on the ball, and they are sending that much help at Siakam post-ups and Siakam drives. And it's like, Tyrese Haliburton is able to just kind of outpass your rotation in a sense, like pass ahead of your rotation is, I guess, the way to put it. And like all of a sudden, the Pacers are 13 of 26 from 3, and things get a little bit hazy from there because I mean the Pacers have done that in this playoffs. Obviously, this is kind of wish casting. There's no reason to really think that the Pacers are going to win, but I do think that there is at least a formula for the Pacers to get good shots, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. AJ, how about you?
Yeah, I would like to first just start by countering Matt's Pacers respecter comment. The Kyle Kuzma dig was a tough one, but I have to wear that one on the chin. But I do want to mention that last year when we were doing the NBA season preview, I mentioned that the Pacers are look out for the Pacers in 1 seed if Haliburton ends up figuring it out. And now that Haliburton figured it out,
You
look where
jumped
the
off the
Pacers are.
train. Yeah,
Now,
you don't get any credit for this.
I did jump off the train because Haliburton didn't figure it out, but whatever. So, but I think I think I'm higher on the Pacers than like it seems like a lot of the media is and a lot of and definitely the sports books. Um, do I think they're going to win? Probably not. May I pick it just because it's different and fun? Potentially. But one thing that they have going for them is that the Thunder thrive off turnovers. Thrive. But they have the point guard that never turns the ball over, literally ever. So I think they're going to force the Thunder to play in a different way. I think they're because they do like to help a lot, and they do like to help off of shooters. But the Pacers don't really have anywhere to help off of. That's kind of the beauty of Miles Turner. For all of his faults, that's like the one skill that he provides that like maybe 5 or 6 other centers provide of protecting the rim and being able to shoot the three. I mean, it's such a valuable skill set. Like, there's nowhere to help off this Pacers team, especially in that starting lineup. Now, when you get to the bench, it gets a little sketchy. But I also like that element that they have of ball pressure. Uh, I mean, like you force Shea to bring it up 20 like for the full game. I mean, they also don't really have another guy that I feel comfortable bringing the ball up against pressure. I mean, you would have thought that the Knicks would have had a few guys that could do it. I mean, I would like to see the Thunder do it. It's just this is going to be a very different series than the Thunder have faced so far in these playoffs. And I think that Rick Carlisle finds a way. He's going to win all the edges. He's been a big underdog in the finals before and won. I'm not necessarily like saying that that's the only reason, but I mean he will get the most out of his team in this playoff series. And I'm just going to have faith that he's going to find something that's going to work for him.
Yeah. No, I think the speed of the Pacers and like you were talking about with Haliburton, like literally his game 4, he had 15 assists, 12 rebounds, 30-point triple double with 0 turnovers. Like that's just insane. You know, you don't see that a lot from a star point guard, you know. So like if Haliburton can play turnover free, and I think it's a big Nemhard series too. Like Nemhard's got to find a shot for the series. You know, he struggled throughout the playoffs. Matt and I talked about it a little bit, but he turned it on for Game 6. You know, but like we love his energy, we love his defense, we love like everything about him. It's just been the shots been very up and down. So I think it's a big series for him. Neesmith will probably. You guys think Neesmith will be mainly on Shea? Yeah, probably.
I think it'll be Nemhard. To be honest,
Nemhard?
It'll be
especially
Nemhard.
yeah.
Neesmith's going to foul out in 2 seconds if he's
Yeah.
guarding the foul baiter.
Well, I think that'll be important though. Like first half, game 1.
But yeah.
What are the refs doing? Like how are the refs calling this?
Yeah.
Can Neesmith grab Shea as much as Caruso grabs people? That's important. Yeah, I think the turnover part that AJ brought up is like I think if there's like one big headline to take away from this series, the most important part of basketball is the basketball. Like you have to possess the basketball. Winning the possession battle is where games are often won. These are like the 2 best possession battle teams in the league, 2 of the best, most efficient transition attacks in the league, and like the teams that add the most points per game through transition. Both meet up in the finals. I think they both have stars that at least bear the weight of like decision making. Shea is not necessarily like the 24/7 playmaker for the Thunder in the same way that Haliburton is for the Pacers. Like obviously he creates differently. He's much more isolated, like much more scoring focused, obviously. But like he has the ball all the time and he never turns it over because his handle is so good. I'm excited to see the ball pressure versus Shea's handle. Can they bother him at all? There were times where like I thought that the Timberwolves they were like blitzing Shea or like sending digs at Shea and stuff, and it's like, dude, you're not taking the ball from him. Like it's just not happening. You can hunt the steal all you want, and he just never loses it. So I think like that is kind of a weird contrast or a bad contrast maybe with the Pacers defense. I don't know. Pressuring the ball is never bad, I guess. But
I mean, you can see like game 3 in that Timberwolves series, like the Timberwolves like added more pressure, and it definitely got to them like to start, and then the game just got out of hand like completely,
right.
So there could be some aspects about that, but
Well, before we move on, Jake,
yeah,
in my opinion, the best part about pressure is it just forces you to get into your offense later. Normally, like if you get into a Shea pick and roll at 17 seconds, you have all the options in the world. But now all of a sudden you're getting into it at 10 seconds. You only have time for 2 or 3 passes after Shea comes off that pick. Like that's the whole point of pressure, and it changes.
Especially in the NBA, yes.
Yeah, it just changes your options when you have the 24-second shot clock, and that's what I think is going to force OKC to play in a different manner. The whistle is going to have to go in the Pacers' way. That's a great point that Matt made, but it should, because Shea's a little, unethical basketball player. But
Nemhard's throwing all types of shoulders and stuff too. All right, he doesn't get any unethical.
So is Caruso. So is Jalen Williams. So is the Thunder are a bunch of hacks and then they flop.
Nemhard is like
whatever.
Nemhard is like Giannis. Like he does Giannis level offensive fouls, except he's
Nemhard's awesome. I won't hear any Nemhard hate.
This is the most Canadian finals ever,
probably.
Toronto.
How many Canadians did they have really?
Doesn't matter.
RJ Barrett wasn't there yet, so I don't know if there's anybody.
Is Shea Canadian? I think he is.
He might have been. I don't know. But there's a lot of different aspects you can look at. I'm excited to see how Chet plays. I think he's going to be like a big piece for OKC in this series, because I could see a lot of the time, especially with Turner out there, if Turner's shooting well, like you probably have Chet as your 5, and then Hardenstein like maybe not as
I feel
much.
Like it's not a big lineup series for the Thunder.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing. And this might be the first time that Dagnall has to do this, like with this iteration. He hasn't really had to go to that very much throughout the playoffs here.
Would you go Caruso then?
Oh yeah.
Caruso at the 4 probably.
But if you won 68 games and have the best point differential ever, should you change anything?
Well, what I'm just saying is
they've just played in so many different ways too, though. They've played in so many different ways throughout the whole year.
You go into game 1 already like Hardenstein's not starting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, you be dominant, and then because Hardenstein's too good to not play. Like all it would be is to close the last 5 minutes. That's the only thing that I would do.
Yeah.
Those two together.
The funny thing is about that is, like, if there's one coach that would just change everything up, it's Dagnall. Like, Dagnall's Dagnall has gone into series where he's just like completely changed things like right away and seen what happened. I mean, the Denver series is a perfect example. In game 1, like they showed up and were playing things completely differently than how they attacked game 2. Game 2 they went normal, and like they tried some different things in the Denver game 1, and that's part of the reason it kind of fell apart.
Team, dude. You could just do whatever you want.
I know you could do whatever, but and it's funny because like in the regular season, like Hardenstein's out for a while, so they couldn't play him to start the year, and then they had to work a way back in. They play with the 2 bigs, like they didn't start the 2 bigs to start the Denver series. They started with their normal stuff, and then they went right to the 2 big lineup, and then they dominated them in game 2. So I think if there's any coach that would do that, it's Dagnall. And that's why I really like Dagnall. I don't know if that makes him a great coach, but that's why I really like him, because he's willing to do changes like that. Really part of the reason I like Ty Lue, too, because he changes stuff like in an instant, too.
Ty Lue only changes stuff after game 3, after doing the wrong thing for game 1 and 2.
Exactly.
And then the next
you got to learn from your mistakes.
You
got to learn from your mistakes.
Did that last series. We just can't be a fool.
With Dagnall, he tries to make a move before, too. So that's what I think's interesting. That's what I think it should do. So my other question. Yeah.
We could have got Siakam on that matchup.
My other question would be if OKC wins. Okay, we talked about like how great we think they are, like kind of historically, like in the past couple of years. But I was talking to Matt about this like off camera. Like, where would you rank them in our lifetime of champions if they win it all this year? AJ, I'll start with you on this one. I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but I figure
starting with me is a little messed up. I mean, I like
getting the instant reaction. I gotta get it.
Like, I mean, the best team probably since the Warriors.
Yeah.
I think if you're telling me I get 7 healthy games of Porzingis last year, I don't know. That's pretty close. That's really close, actually. I think that Celtics team is really underrated with the healthy Porzingis. I mean, what he did last year in that game one, and then that game five last year was just crazy. But like the question is like you can't just say
Exactly.
Porzingis can be
Yeah.
healthy because that's the only reason they got him. But that I think that Raptors team was good, but I think they're a little overrated. Like I think hindsight's like kind of putting a little blessing on them. They almost lost to Ben Simmons.
If
Um,
Clay doesn't get injured, does Golden State win?
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, if Clay and Durant don't get injured, then no.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I mean probably since the Warriors. Um, but I don't think it's like by far. Like I think Jalen Williams is I don't know like the 23rd best player in basketball, and he's their second best player. Like I don't, but like it's that's not what makes them great. What makes them great is their defense, and then having a top two player in basketball or top
And how
four.
many people they have. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
and like they win the guys. They have a lot of guys, so but so I would have a hard time putting them like above a LeBron, like a few of those LeBron teams, but they'd be right up there.
Yeah.
I
Matt, how
agree with
about
the
you?
LeBron teams. I think the Warriors are the one team where it's like the Kevin Durant Warriors 2017. Yeah, that's the best team I've ever seen. Likely will ever see. Unless Spurs trade for Giannis and Wemby's the GOAT, then that would be better. But I think that like
Cade,
this team won
just wait
68
till Cade.
games. Yeah, true. This team won 68 games and had the second best net rating ever by like a tenth of a point, I think. The best point differential ever. And their second slash or third, I guess third best player missed like a lot of the season. Chet missed a ton of the year. And they were still like historically dominant on any level you could come up with. I think like the Nuggets series is almost a blemish. Like being taken to 7 games is not something that teams this good often do. But like, I mean, Jokic is just such like a ridiculous basketball player. And he is like the only sort of player I could think of that is like kind of a bad matchup for them. Like he is just kind of the one guy where it's like some of your obviously it still helps to have a bunch of all defensive guys, but it's like none of these dudes can really guard him because of his just the mode of his offense being so sort of inside centric, him being as good. I don't know. Jokic is just the craziest offensive player ever, probably. So I guess that's all that I'm saying is that they got taken to 7 by that. But other than that, it feels like there's not even really like a dent in the armor of their defense. I kind of think the world of this team. I'm just excited. I'm excited to watch them next year to see what they look like. They're sick. They're so good.
Like I feel like they get bogged down a little bit offensively.
But like, what is bogged down when it's just Shea ISO is your bogged down offense? Like that's
Well,
it.
Shea foul baiting. Like I mean, I know that's like a
That's
joke, but if
that's
that's not
efficient
working for him,
offense.
if that's not if the refs are not calling that, which they shouldn't be because it's not basketball, but then like all of a sudden like Shea struck like a Shea step back two, Shea like
That's
I
good. I
mean
think. I think they're like. I have never had a question about their offense, mostly just because I think like whatever Shea's got for him that night will probably be fine.
yeah, but I mean there's too many Jalen Williams 3 of 16s,
That happens.
3 of 19s. Like I feel like there's too many of those for me to be like okay yeah these teams could beat a 2016 LeBron team, or they could beat the 2012 Heat, or like I mean
Well, I
that's
mean,
what
like the
we're
2012 Heat played
talking
Joel
about.
Anthony. You know.
Yeah, I mean, this team plays the worst Jalen Williams. I mean, it's not like they
They
play
don't
Aaron
have to though.
Wiggins,
Now in the
who's
playoffs, they definitely don't have to.
they have been. So I mean,
No, yeah.
but like they
But
don't. They also don't have a 2012 LeBron. They don't have a D Wade. I mean,
Shea's better than 12 Wade.
no, I agree. I
But yeah,
agree. But
they
what
don't
I'm
have
saying is the
they
number
don't have
two.
LeBron.
Like they don't. It doesn't slot in. So I just think when you're in that ilk and you have a weakness such as like I don't feel great about your half court offense. I don't feel great about like your number two option offensively. If now like and even like a Spurs team that has a Kawhi that could guard a Shea, like if you let's
That
just
was
say
the only other team I had, the 2014
like
Spurs.
I don't feel great about that matchup per se. And now
I just don't know
this
how
is
a
great
team with
air here.
non-shooter
This is
scores
great
on this
air
team.
here.
Yeah. But that Spurs team in 2014 was like one of the best shooting teams we had seen. Like they were shooting the lights out that year.
Well,
And we're dominant.
and that's a big thing going back to this series now. Like Andrew Nemhart can shoot it now. Like you're playing
Exactly.
true 5 out ball, you have a real shot against this team. I feel like. I think this is going to be, And even if it ends up being like if the Thunder take care of business, like and win the close games, like this could easily be a 4 or 5 game series. But I'm expecting some close games here. I think this will be a fun NBA Finals like viewing experience. I'm just worried about how many games it'll end up being.
Yeah, I'm in a complete agreement. The thing with OKC, I liked what you were talking about, how they could get bogged down. Like you could tell when the Nuggets went zone and the Nuggets like believed in their zone, it really screwed them. Like they just didn't really respond great to that. And even in that game 7, like yes, they blew the door open, and it was more because like the Nuggets actually ended up just turning over the ball. But like if the Nuggets take care of the ball in that game, like that's going down to the wire, like close game. And like at the end of the game, it's like who do you trust more, like Jokic or SGA? And to be honest, like I would have leaned towards the Nuggets if it was a close game, in
Yeah,
game 7.
I was
Like,
almost
so
saying that.
I really think like with that, like especially if you're looking at this team like historically, like the Spurs would have gone zone on a team. Like the Spurs would have done something that changed it up, like a Pop or somebody like that. Spoelstra, I don't know if he would have gone zone with the personnel that he had in Miami, but like I
I
feel
mean, he
like when
played
you're looking
zone.
at it
He played zone.
historically,
Oh, you mean
yeah,
2012 Miami?
yeah,
I thought you
exactly,
meant
yeah,
with Jordan.
2012 Miami with that personnel, But that's kind of what I was looking at. I was just like, like that zone, because Denver's like not a good defensive team, and the fact that they could like bog them down that much offensively just kind of like scared me when I'm looking at them historically. But they're awesome. Like the Thunder are really really good, but you know what I'm talking.
I have two qualms or two counter
Okay.
arguments. One, I don't feel like you could just be like, if they just didn't turn the ball over against the Thunder, it's like
Yeah.
if
No,
Steph
that's
Curry just
fair.
missed threes,
Yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's part of the deal, and also like the zone did bog them down for sure, and like it definitely took Shea. Like they kind of eliminated Shea in a sense from some. I know by the end of the series he kind of cracked it a little bit. And ended up putting together like a good statistical series, but like they kind of sold out at taking him away with the zone. I feel like the process was definitely bad sometimes, especially from J Dub. I thought his process was really bad in that series. I do kind of think the Thunder like missed so many open threes in those games, and that does go to AJ's point of like they're not the most dependable half court offense in the world. But I don't know. I don't know that like if I'm Rick
Yeah.
Carlisle, I'm looking at that and being like, that's our
The
answer.
thing is too though is like Michael Porter Jr.'s got one shoulder.
Yeah,
Jamal Murray is like every other game
Aaron
Jamal
Gordon's limping
Murray,
everywhere in Game
Aaron
7.
Gordon's limping in game 7.
He's also making
So
every big shot
like,
though.
and that's the crazy thing about the Nuggets is like I remember us doing a like beginning of the season podcast and talking about, are the Nuggets going to be good? Like what the hell? And then Jokic just made them so good this year. Like that's the crazy part about.
You did.
And like it was cool to have a series like that, go 7. I think AJ's right when he was saying like that'll be like the NBA Finals when we're looking back.
no,
Well,
I wouldn't. I think the Pacers are going to put up quite a fight here.
I think the Pacers
I
will
think
So
too.
we're getting a little
what
bit
would be
over
your
our skis.
prediction? What would be your prediction?
I'll say Thunder in 6, but if I had to like lean towards one, Thunder in 7 or Thunder in 5, it'd definitely be closer to Thunder in 7. Um, I just think that the Pacers have buttons that they could push with the tempo, different way they play, the 5 shooters. I did see a stat that I meant to bring up. Um, NBA 3-point shooter, like in the playoffs, like Shea's at 31%. J Dub's at like 26%. This may have been last week, so it may have changed. But and then Chet is also at like 28%. Um, that's the worry, is that like if those shots don't continue to go in, the Pacers sell out to shut down Shea or slow down Shea. You can't shut down Shea, but slow down Shea. And then it's like, okay, Shea's going to get his 30, but he's not going to do it like super efficiently. We're going to get the ball out of his hands. Let's see what happens. I don't know. I, I I'm intrigued. I think the Thunder definitely have the capability of like just shutting them down. But I think it will be a closer series than many are saying, and the games I think are going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I got Thunder in 6. Like AJ said, I think this is going to be an extremely fun finals to watch. I think like the way they're almost so different, it makes them the same. Like how different they are is like their
Mm-hmm.
biggest similarity.
Yeah.
and how far they kind of veer off the path of like normal. I don't want to say normal team building because nobody would have said that these teams would be bad going into the year, or like that they didn't fit. But I just think like they aren't who you expect, I guess, when you think from a name perspective to see in the finals. They aren't the types of teams you often see in the final, particularly the Pacers, not the type of team you see in the finals often. And it is just going to be a sick contrast of style. Styles make fights. Who wins the turnover battle? Who wins the rebounding battle? Like, there's a lot of questions kind of up in the air, but at the end of the day, I think the Thunder's defense is better than the Pacers' offense. I think the Thunder have the best player. I think that they're just more talented. I'm excited to watch. I think the only way that this finals is not fun is if it's like Thunder in 5 and the average margin of victory is like 12, because I do think that that's in the cards. But I'll go Thunder in 6. I think the Pacers will fight.
Yeah, no, I like that. I have Thunder in 5. I mean, I think the Pacers can throw some stuff at it, but kind of like AJ's saying, like with the Thunder shooting, they're all super low, and to me that means they're about to hit shots. Like every time you see like a low number or like a super high number, I'm expecting, all right, it's probably going to be the opposite next time. And
That's
I feel like the Thunder.
Michigan State, dude. They can't shoot right now. Just wait till they can.
Exactly. But I mean, with the Thunder, dude, like they have shooters that can shoot the ball, so I feel like they're going to be shooting well, and I feel like the pressure defense will be just a little too much for Haliburton and Nembhard to handle. So I got Thunder in 5. I think the Pacers will have one game where they're not missing a shot and win that game, but other than that, I think the Thunder are better. And I think it'll be tough. It's a very, very tough ask for the Pacers to go any further. And I think a win for them is getting it to 6 or 7. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, they outperformed themselves, kind of. Like
exactly.
It's been a hell of a season. I have a question for you guys. If you're Rick Carlisle, how deep do you go into the bench? You keep going like 10 deep. Because I feel like if Thomas Bryant's on this court, I'm like, this game's over.
Yeah, no, I that's the one of the concerns that I'm worried about is Rick Carlisle likes to play guys. I think you test out Mathurin, drive him around a little bit, see how that goes. Obi Toppin, I think, is a for sure.
Yeah.
I'd like to have Obi Toppin as our backup 5. So you cut out that Thomas Bryant minutes. Honestly, I'd like to cut it there. I wouldn't hate a few minutes of TJ McConnell, but it may be in game
McConnell
1.
getting to the rim against these dudes, bro. Like
Caruso guarding McConnell does not seem like fun. I kind of want out of that before that even starts. I feel like he shouldn't play. You could probably get away with a few minutes of Ben Shepherd.
Is going to make a fire.
Yeah.
No.
I think you could get away with a few Ben Shepherd minutes.
Yeah.
So I'd go like 7.5.
Yeah.
I feel like you gotta just keep playing the way you've been playing.
Dance with who brought you here.
Yeah. I mean, he'll probably change it up if they're down like 2-0 or 3-0, but like, especially game 1, you can't change it up. And I like Jarris Walker. I want him to keep playing. He's awesome.
I want him to play.
He's my guy. I was very high on him coming out. Yeah, I was very high on him coming out, so I was really hoping that people would start falling in love. I like him a lot, so I hope he plays. But yeah,
trade him to the Pistons.
Yeah, he'd be a great Piston, man. He'd be a great Piston.
He would be a great Piston. Him and Isaiah Stewart is like menacing front court right there.
Yeah.
The TJ McConnell one is the one that hangs. I love TJ McConnell. Like, I think he's awesome. But in this series in particular, it's like, Rick, please don't be like, I think I can get away with TJ on Shea here for a couple minutes. I feel like I should just try it to get up in. I was like, no, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. He'll probably try Mathurin on him.
Yeah.
If it goes to that lineup,
I can see that. Mathurin, like, I think on the ball, Mathurin's all right. And like through screens and stuff. My only concern with the Obi Toppin backup 5 thing is like they played that in this past series, and I thought like the rim protection was notably gone. Like it was notable that there was not a real deterrent at the rim, and against a team that drives so much like the Thunder, I guess that worries me a little bit. But there's always gonna be some problem.
Yeah, you just zone it. You hope for the best. You hope they miss shots, and you hope to outscore them in those minutes. That's the thinking behind it. Because I think is Thomas Bryant going to protect the rim?
Not really, no.
So I just think you try to outscore him in those minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be fun. Tony Bradley.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was like everybody else. I didn't realize he was on the Pacers.
I know.
That was wild. That was wild to see him running around.
How old is he?
Not
Probably
old.
He was like Gobert's backup in Utah.
That may have been Troy Weaver's best move in Detroit. We got a second-round pick for taking him on, and then we traded him for a second-round pick.
There we go.
Shout out Troy Weaver.
Yeah, there we go.
Where'd he go? He was in Washington, but then he left there. Now he's New Orleans with Joe Dumars. That's where he is.
Oh, wow. I bet they signed Sadiq Bey soon, or trade for Sadiq Bey. They're going to trade a lot for Sadiq.
A bad center. Oh, well, nobody wants Zion anymore, I guess.
Zion for Sadiq Bey. Probably the move.
Yeah, probably not Zion. But, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for coming on. Talking finals, NBA playoffs. It's good to be back talking about it. So appreciate you guys coming on.
Hold on. Well,
yeah, thanks.
We got 10 minutes till 1 hour. How are we feeling about the draft? Where are we at right now?
All right. Draft. To be honest, I haven't been locked in. I haven't been doing my draft stuff. It's been all playoffs. That's all I've been watching. So
all right. I got
AJ. Give me your draft stuff. Give me your draft stuff.
I got a few for you. Okay, Danny Wolf should not be a top 20 pick.
Agreed.
I'm seeing
I
him
agree.
way too high.
Very much in agreement.
I am not a believer in the shot. At best case scenario, he is a backup center that plays like Mo Wagner, but you need to have a Jonathan Isaac next to him. We'll see how that goes. Jace. I know, Matt, you're really high on Jace.
Yeah. So high.
He's a 6-foot guard. He's a 6-foot guard that's not a freak athlete.
Good athlete.
I don't know. I don't see it. I see it, but he's too small. He's too small.
The thing to remember about a guy like Kasparis Yakachonis is that he's way worse at basketball than Jace Richardson. I just want that to stay in the back of people's minds.
For the moment, but I think he can shoot.
Kasparis? Yeah, he can shoot.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, I'm in.
He can turn the ball over a whole lot, too.
I
think he's going to shoot. I think he's going. So does Cade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
he's not Cade. He's not Cade, though.
Cade's not going to be the worst athlete on the floor all the time, like Kasparis is.
We'll see.
I got Jace top 8.
Yeah, you have him 7. You have him 7 on the list. Did you move him to back? You moved him back?
I moved him under Trey Johnson. Apparently, I heard somebody asked Trey Johnson what skill he would like to add to his bag, and he said Shea's foul drawing, and I was like, that's a star answer. So I moved him up a spot.
That's awesome.
AJ,
do you have a favorite prospect other than the top? Do you have a guy that people aren't talking about that you really like?
Yeah, I have a few, but one guy at the top that I really like. I like Con Knipple a ton.
Yep,
okay.
I think I'm gonna end up having him number 3 on my draft board.
Oh, wow, let's go.
Wow, that's sick.
That's sweet. I see All-Star. And I'm just lower on 2 of the other guys at the top, but I got to do some more work before, but that right now Con is heading in that direction. I really like Ryan Kalkbrenner, center out of Creighton.
Rotation
I think
lock.
he would.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be a great
I agree.
rotational center. I would love him at 36 for the Pistons.
No way. I don't think
if he lasts that long.
Oh my God. The past 2 weeks have been a disaster for our draft pick. Everybody, I was moving names after everybody went, after, Yaxel and Phylon and all those guys went back.
Yep, I'm pumped about the Axel. I'm pumped about that he's going back. That's so great.
You're like 25, dude.
Let Dusty cook. Let Dusty cook.
Everybody that I was moving down was between 17 and 30. And I was like, oh, great. So everybody that was going to go right in front of us. So now we're just going to have the worst pick ever. I'm with you on Khan, though. I think he's like a genius. He might be like a basketball genius.
I agree.
5.
Okay. Let's see. Anybody else later? I like Tyrese Proctor. I'm in. I think he's a rotation guard.
I've been in
if
for.
You get him in the 40s.
Too long.
He shot 45% from 3 this year. What else?
I know, and his free throws fell off the cliff. Why?
The Final Four killed me. The Final Four killed me. That game killed me. That Houston game killed me, man. Like
It should
I
be.
I
mean, on
was such
Tyrese.
a believer. I was such a believer in him like for the past 2 years, and then doing college basketball content and like watching that game super closely and seeing him fold like that just kind of killed me.
If we
I
get him at 37, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like I'm in on him as like a day two pick. I like
Only
him.
one day.
Well, yeah. All right, round two. I'm sorry. Uh, I was thinking of Tate Ratledge because
No,
the Frank
I
Ragnar
get
stuff
those two
going on.
guys
But
confused all the time.
yeah, all the time, all the time. Uh, Matt, who do you got late that you like?
Who do I like late? I like Adu Thiero a lot. If he's a Piston, well, he can't
Yep.
shoot. Maybe so is the problem. So I don't know if he's a good fit for the Pistons, but I like him a lot. I like Cedric
super
Howard.
athlete.
I don't know where he's going to go in the draft. He's the mystery guy. Watch him. He's sweet. He's good.
Oh,
I want him to
I
get
see
taken.
people going lottery.
Yeah, I mean he's like he's got like the best defensive tool. Like his wingspan's crazy and he covers a lot of ground. He shoots like 40% from three on volume. Like he's sweet and was the player of the year in the Big Sky a year ago. So I don't know. He's kind of sick.
All right, we got 4 minutes. Give
4
me
minutes.
both of you Pistons thoughts. 4 minutes.
Okay.
I need Pistons thoughts for next year.
We should be good. We should be good. I'm excited to see how the offseason
What do you
goes.
want to do this offseason? Do you want to bring somebody in? Do you want to
Look, if we
keep
left the
everybody?
offseason with like somebody who's starting at power forward next year, I'd be pretty happy with it. Given that they can shoot.
One of my
Like,
buddies want
we had
Naz
Aldama,
Reed.
I'd be geeked.
One of my buddies wants Naz Reed, like really
Naz Reed.
badly.
don't know,
Whatever.
man.
Naz Reed.
If we got Naz Reed, I'd be excited because he's like fun, and I'd be a geek to watch him. He is pretty sick. I don't. He just scores though. Like there's not really. Like,
I know.
Secondary skill was my only concern.
Yeah, I'm good. I really don't want Tim Hardaway on my team next year.
Yeah.
I'm okay if he's not there. I'm excited to watch Jaden Ivey. I don't think we have to do too much. I think we try to extend Ivey and Duren because I don't see a trade in this upcoming year. So I think next offseason would be the time to strike, and that's when they become tradable, would be next offseason if we extend them this offseason. I'm thinking, like, you try to get Ivey, like, anything under 30 for both of them. I was actually thinking of this in the car because Jared Allen is on a $30 million a year contract.
No, he's not. Isn't it? Wasn't it like 22 and descending?
It's 3 years, 90.
Oh, okay.
3 years, 90. Because he signed a new one last offseason.
Right.
So it was 390. Do you think would you trade Jared Allen for Jalen Duren? Like, is that a reasonable comp per
I
contract?
think that's too much. I like Jared Allen a lot, but I think
Yeah, I like Allen
I-
more than.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
pay either of them 30. I think like 25 would be where I'd kind of get
Yeah,
off the
I mean,
boat.
is in a rising contract, rising cap environment, I don't see him signing anything less than 30.
Yeah, that's
I would
tough
offer
for
him
me,
25.
for sure.
I'd offer him 25 and kind of hold the line steady until and try to, like, even if it's a 3 year contract, like a Jalen Green type thing. Same with Jaden Ivey. But I think you try to get those done so that next offseason you have a better picture of what we need. And you just have they're more matching salary when they're actually making real money rather than having to throw Tobias in every deal that we make when we actually need Tobias Harris. One target that I am very interested in, PJ Washington. I'm in on him from Dallas. They're going to draft Cooper
Schroeder
Flag.
type
They
thing.
don't need him.
Yeah.
Or Simone Fontecchio. I'm okay giving him up
Well, yeah,
because I
for
would
sure.
like
But they
Schroeder.
wouldn't want him.
But I did see no, but like just salary matching wise, I'm saying.
Yeah, but like Schroeder, they could use. Like,
But Schroeder, they could actually use.
Right.
But I also kind of want Dennis Schroeder still on our team. We need a backup guard.
Yeah,
He would get used less next year.
Yeah. So Schroeder and Malik Beasley, do we want them both back? If we can get them both?
I think I would. It would be sick if we didn't have to give up the full mid level for Beasley. Like that would make me feel a lot better, and then we can add one more. I would like another wing that just like is easy to put on the court. I think like another guy that can play the 3 or 4 that can shoot. That is just like all right,
Yeah.
We don't want to play Ron and Nassar right now if possible together.
Yeah, if there is a trade out there for us to upgrade like a little bit of a better player than PJ Washington, like I wouldn't mind throwing Ron Holland in a trade. I don't know exactly what I see him ending up being. Like I wouldn't be mad about missing
Have
out
you
on
seen
that
Anthony
future.
Edwards?
I have seen Anthony Edwards.
Something like
I
that.
was Okay. Okay. I mean, that's definitely what Ron thinks.
Yeah.
Definitely what Ron thinks. But we'll see. I wouldn't mind like maybe if like if Brooklyn wanted to do a little Tobias and Ron for Cam Johnson, I'd be okay. I'd take that.
I like Ron. I would understand trading him though. I think like the stars. If you take like a big, I think like Jaren Jackson is like a big swing name that I've seen thrown around. That I'm like, okay, like I could get behind that. That'd be a really cool fit with Duren and Asar in particular. Like having a
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
if Joe Dumars is in charge of the Pelicans, I would be calling a lot about Trey Murphy,
or Herb Jones backdoor the Herb
or
Jones
Herb
deal while he's
Jones,
trading Trey Murphy away.
or do both of them.
Yeah,
Just
for
trade,
sure.
be like, hey, we'll give you Ivy, we'll give you Ron, we'll give
So
you
we really want
Tobias.
Isaiah Stewart back.
No. Stu's
He's
untouchable.
the coach.
Stu's
Okay.
Yeah,
untouchable.
AJ loves
Yeah,
Stu.
I love
I
AJ
think if
Stu's
loves
you
my
keep
guy.
Ron,
Yeah.
you could be a lot like he can carry it on. Like I think one of the two has to stay on the team at least to run the dog.
That's true. I mean, Stu did train him all year.
Yeah, right. He's ready to take the mallet to hit people with.
I'm in on Stu, man. Let's keep
He's
Stu.
so good.
We'll give him Tech, his best move, maybe
That
his
was
best
his
move.
best move. You're right.
Or he could re-sign Tony Bradley on the minimum to then trade him for a second round pick again. That would be another good one. Or Killian Hayes is available.
Yeah,
No.
he is. Sign and trade. We could sign Killian Hayes, send him over
Yeah.
to Brooklyn. James Wiseman's about to win a ring, maybe, so his contract, his number is going to be.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's
Two of
true.
them. That'll
That's
be a
true.
second if he wins this year.
That's crazy.
Most underrated player in NBA history.
That's what some are saying.
I mean, how many rings does Ant have? 0.
Yeah, who's the real bust? What's LaMelo doing?
It's facts.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese Haliburton, who?
Right.
He'd only have 1.
Yeah, it's tough to argue with that.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the show for today. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, wherever you guys are at. And we'll be back at you guys soon. Peace.
Sick. Good show.